once it warms up, I'm gonna let you feel the VTEC, bro. It's so fast. Dude, this BMW behind me, I bet he wishes he had.
How's it going, guys? It's your boy Random Tall Guy. Welcome back to the channel. If you guys are new to the channel, do me a favor, hit that subscribe button for me, and of course, let's get started. On today's video, I'm going to be working on the 2003 Honda Element, and today we're going to be replacing the lower control arm on the passenger side. Now, the reason why I'm replacing the lower control arm is because this bushing right here is shot, and I can feel it and I can hear it rattling when I'm hitting bumps, when I'm turning and stuff like that. So it's definitely damaging the subframe. So today I'm gonna go ahead and replace it with this aftermarket one, which should be identical, and it comes with 2 new bushings and everything. All right, guys, so the first thing you wanna do is go ahead and jack up the vehicle and go ahead and put the jack stand on the pinch well. I went ahead and I left the jack on the frame of the vehicle just in case the pinch rail is too soft due to rust. And then I also went ahead and I blocked off the wheels in the back and made sure the emergency brake is on and that the vehicle is in gear so it doesn't roll on me. Now we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna remove the tire. Alright guys, with the wheel off, we have access to all the bolts and hardware we need to remove. For example, we need to remove this sway bar and link. We need to remove this bolt right here, a second one here, and then a nut right here for the ball joint. Honestly, it should be pretty simple. So I'm gonna go ahead, I'm gonna start off removing the sway bar and link first. It should be pretty simple. This one's gonna be a 15mm. Alright guys, update. So I was having difficulty removing the sway bar and link. So I went ahead and I just cut it off with a carter wheel right here. A grinder, I just went ahead and grind it off. I'm gonna go ahead and replace that. This part is extremely cheap, so I didn't mind getting new ones. And plus it's all beat up and all greasy, so I'm just gonna replace it regardless. So now I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna remove the lower nut for the lower ball joint. That one right there. And then after that, I should be able to zip those 2 bolts out, and then the lower control arm should come right off. Alright guys, so I was having difficulty removing the ball joint, so I'm gonna use this pivot arm puller right here. Honestly, banging it multiple times and heating it up honestly did not do anything, so I'm just gonna go ahead and use this puller real quick. Alright guys, so I got the ball joint separated. Now I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna tackle those 2 bolts. And in case I forgot to mention, the nut for the ball joint is gonna be a 19mm. Alright guys, and it looks like the bolt for this side of the lower control arm is also a 19mm. And then for the other side, let me check. And it looks like they're all 19mm. So 19mm, 19mm, and also the nut is 19mm. Honda literally made it super easy for us. I'm just gonna go ahead and zip those out real quick. Alright guys, I was able to remove this fastener right here from this side of the lower control arm. I honestly needed to use some heat and a lot of breaker bars and cheater bars, the combination. You can see how this wrench right here, this ratchet, kind of bent a little bit. Honestly, this was really hard to remove. I needed to use a lot of heat and a lot of lubricant to remove it, but I got it out. So now I'm gonna go ahead and tackle the other one, which shouldn't be that rusty. Hopefully is right there. I'm gonna go ahead and remove that now. I was thinking of using a swivel or multiple swivels and get the impact, but most likely I would need to use the breaker bar. My impact was not strong enough to break this fastener free. Alright guys, so I was able to remove the lower control arm. This is the old one right here. You can tell that this bushing is completely gone. You can tell that the sleeve separated from the bushing. That's the reason why I'm replacing it. With this new one, if you take a look at the new one, it's exactly the same mounting points. Everything looks exactly the same. So we're gonna go ahead and put this one onto the Honda Element. Now if you notice, I went ahead and put a little anti-seize on the hole for the lower ball joint to make it easier to remove it next time. Also, I went ahead and I prepped the surface I did not have any rust reformer, so I needed to coat this with some primer just because there's some exposed metal due to rubbing. All right, and for this side, I just went ahead and I cleaned off the dirt and stuff like that. All that dirt came from that little bracket. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and install this piece now. I also went ahead and I cleaned up the bolt and I put some anti-seize on the rusty bolt as well. So we should be all set to install it now. Alright guys, so I managed to line up the lower control arm with the subframe, and I managed to put the two fasteners on. What I recommend is put that one on first, that bolt right there, put that one on first, leave the ball joint disconnected, and then go ahead and connect this fastener. Honestly, this one is extremely hard to put on. Well, it's extremely hard to line up the bolt with the nut. So I recommend put that one first, then this one, and then finally connect the lower control arm. Also, I recommend use the jack and kind of keep this level. It makes this side easier to put in when the arm right here is nice and straight. You can just hit it with a mallet and line up the two the sleeve and the nut together. So now I'm gonna go ahead and lower this. And then I'm gonna go ahead and connect this to the ball joint. All right, and then we're gonna go ahead and put the nut back on. Let's go ahead and torque it a little bit down. All right guys, since we're here, we're gonna go ahead and torque down this nut to 50 foot-pounds. All right, and then don't forget to put a new carter pin. I think this one's a little too short, but let's see if it fits. All right guys, so we're almost done here. Now we need to go ahead and torque down the two fasteners for the lower control arm. But in order to do that, we need to go ahead and raise the lower control arm so that the weight of the vehicle is resting on the lower control arm. Just because we don't want to cause any premature wear, or we don't want to go ahead and damage the bushings. So we're gonna go ahead and raise the low control arm with this jack, and then once the low control arm is up and that the weight of the vehicle is resting on the low control arm and that the vehicle body is not resting on that floor jack stand over there, then we can go ahead and torque down the two fasteners. We're gonna torque it down to 60 foot-pounds. This one right here and this one right here. And as I mentioned, the ball joint will be torqued down to 50 foot-pounds. And in case you guys are wondering, the sway bar end link will be torqued down to 29 foot-pounds. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that real quick for you guys. And if you look over here, there's a little like reinforced bump here that you can use your floor jack to lift from, just like that, so you don't damage the nut and you don't damage the threads or anything like that. All right, so I got the weight of the vehicle resting on the low control arm. If you notice over here, the floor jack is not touching the body. It's just right there, ready to catch the car in case this jack fails. Also, just to keep in mind that the whole car is resting on this floor jack right here, so you don't want to be crawling underneath the car or anything, because if this thing fails, it could crush you. That's why I left the jack stand right there in case this thing fails. Alright guys, and we are done. Honestly, it was a super simple job. If you have enough clearance from the floor to your car, you should be able to get a breaker bar and pop these bolts loose, man, quick. Honestly, it took me about 2 hours or less, and I think I was procrastinating in between. Honestly, the hardest part was removing the extremely rotted out sway bar end link, which I just ended up cutting it. Other than that, this job was super simple and it was stress-free. All right, guys, also I recommend get yourself a pivot arm puller because the ball joint puller is not like, the opening is not wide enough for this control arm. So definitely get yourself a pivot arm puller to pop this free. Other than that, we should be all set. All right, we should be done with the installation, but I do need to order the sway bar end links because I destroy mine. And I also noticed I need to order some bushings because I'm missing one right here, which is kind of odd because I could have sworn I saw like a couple of days ago. And for some reason, it looks like I'm leaking some oil, so I need to track down where the oil leak is coming from. Most likely is the VTEC solenoid unit, which is up there. The little tiny gasket with the little screen probably got bad. It's definitely not my oil filter because it looks nice and dry, but I'm gonna go ahead and address that another day. Alright guys, so I'm gonna end the video here. If you liked the video, give me a thumbs up. If you're not a subscriber, consider subscribing. Alright guys, take care. See you on the next one. Bye bye.